Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests are actor Bill Allen and artist Katherine Rohrbacher. Actor, musician, amateur pilot, and parachutist, Bill Allen was raised in Texas. He attended acting school in Dallas and in Los Angeles, and many years ago, he starred in a film called Rad, which looked like R-A-D, and it was about BMX racing. Now he's playing the father to a biker in the BMX themed movie, Heroes of Dirt.
That's correct.
I know. We've got all these initials. Tell me what all those initials mean.
Well, RAD is short for radical,
Right.
and it's one of those terms like awesome or cool.
It was rad?
Yeah, and you'll still hear it today, mostly from older guys, but yeah, it's just another term for cool.
And BMX?
BMX means bicycle motocross, and it's talking specifically about the guys who are doing racing or freestyle tricks, the flatland tricks, or jumping off walls or in skate parks. All that is included under the BMX umbrella.
And what were you doing in your first film? Because this film was, 30 years ago?
30 years ago,
said?
yeah.
And here we have this picture of you and...
Lori Loughlin from
Full House is the show that Lori Loughlin is on.
Yes, thank goodness you remembered.
I was not a bicyclist at the time. It was my introduction into the sport, and I've only since started studying BMX for my next movie.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm now taking lessons from Martin Aparejo.
Is that right? But all this time, 30 years later? And is it when you were doing this, you were crew. Here's some more initials, right? CRU.
Yeah.
Very cool crew.
Yeah.
What was that character like?
He was a young, brash, very gifted athlete who got a chance to race with the big boys in the big time.
And what was he racing?
BMX bicycles.
A bicycle, a regular bicycle, not a motorbike.
Not a motorbike. Human powered, but it's the smaller bikes as opposed to the mountain bikes or the cruisers.
And so where was the location for this?
It was set in Oregon, but we actually shot it in Cochrane, outside of Calgary, Canada.
Oh, you were in Canada. Why was it so popular? Why was that such a big? Because it was a big hit. You were a big star.
It was a big hit on video, and it's mostly because it introduced the world, but the younger generation in particular, to bicycle motocross and what that looked like and the stunts that you could do.
You had certain kinds of clothes to wear. Tell us about that.
Well, it was the 80s, and we all had a certain kind of clothes to wear with the big shoulders and the stonewashed jeans.
And for your character, you didn't have to wear anything on your bike? Wasn't something different?
Wasn't
like a uniform?
Well, for the actual race that we see here, everybody wore uniforms. It's kind of, for the competition you see in X Games and what now, they don't wear uniforms, but the racers still do.
You've done a lot of other projects. After that,
sure.
You worked with Robert Altman, you've worked with Oliver Stone, with really great directors. Who directed this one?
The great Hal Needham.
Oh, Hal Needham.
Of Smokey and the Bandit fame.
Oh, I forgot. Hal did that.
Hal did that.
And he was really into racing, all kinds of racing.
Sure. He was a big stock car owner, and he also started Stunts Unlimited and was the highest paid stuntman in L.A. for quite some time.
My father used to promote races at Ascot and at Gardena.
Okay.
And Hal used to always come out. They were great friends because, he was anything competitive.
Yep.
Fabulous guy. So what did you do with Altman?
A film called Streamers that starred Matthew Modine and David Alan Grier. It was a Broadway play that was adapted for the screen, and I got to work with him in Dallas, and it's a huge thrill for me.
Were you living in Dallas at the time?
I was at the time.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to get to work with him. And
because he was a great director too.
One of our very best of all time. You know,
so
it held a great deal of meaning for me.
And we also had Oliver Stone. What kind of work did you do with him?
I actually did more training than actual filming. I was one of the soldiers that they trained along with Tom Cruise to be one of the troops. So Dale Dye, my captain, also trained the guys for Saving Private Ryan and all of Oliver Stone's films. They went through this boot camp, if you will, jungle training.
You mean a real training
session? A real training with real Marines out in the wilds of Texas. Wow. And they put us through some changes.
And then did you act with Lou Diamond Phillips?
I've acted with Lou a lot, yeah. He's directed me in several films of his, and we started out in acting class in Arlington outside of Dallas, and our teacher was Adam Rourke, who was a prominent actor in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, so you were with Lou Phillips
way back in the day.
Dallas.
Way back in the day.
But you're two musicians together too.
Yeah. He went on to star in The King and I and nominated for Tonys. But we actually toured a lot as musicians.
I think we forget that he was a great singer too, right?
Well, he became such, and he did a lot of his own singing later. But of course, in La Bamba, he was lip syncing to Los Lobos. And a lot of people don't know that.
But he wasn't lip syncing on stage.
That's right.
He had to do that.
That's right.
So you've traveled. You've got a blues band. I mean, you have a musician's life.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of different bands, and my most recent musical endeavor was producing and playing on a CD called The King of Clubs.
This is what we have,
that's
right?
That's what we have
here. The King
here.
of Clubs. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, growing up in Dallas, it was a very hot blues scene, likened to a jazz scene in New York in the 50s. It was the place to be. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Freddie King, T-Bone Walker all came out of that place and era. And my favorite musician at the time was Bugs Henderson. So when I became 14 years old, got my first fake ID, I went to a nightclub and saw Bugs Henderson, and it literally changed my life.
So it says tribute to Bugs.
It's a tribute to Bugs. We became very good friends through the years, and he unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. So myself and my brother and a lot of top drawer studio musicians and some rock stars got together and did a 2-CD tribute to Bugs and his music.
That's so great.
Yeah,
and did he write the music?
He wrote, I would say, 90% of the songs. We did do a couple songs that he did in his act, but most of them.
Did you ever play with him? Were you on stage with him?
Yeah, several times I got invited on stage and was lucky enough to play with one of my musical heroes. So he was a big influence and a great friend.
And what do you play?
Blues harmonica.
Play the harmonica?
I do.
That's so hard.
Thank you. It's not an easy instrument. There are a lot of harmonica owners, but not a lot of great players.
I don't know how you play.
Yeah, it's amateur and practice.
I never understood that. I thought that was one of the hardest instruments to play. But that is so vital to this kind of music, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. It's American music, and it's one of the things we can be proud of in this country.
So we've gone through your life. Kind of through your life.
A little bit.
And we brought you back to your new film, Heroes.
Heroes of Dirt.
Heroes of Dirt, which you're not the hero anymore.
No.
You're not crew. You're the father.
I'm the father, the disapproving father who tries to push his son out of BMX and eventually sees the value in it.
Is there a follow-through from the first movie? Do you see anything
in
about
that
it?
there was never another BMX movie made after Rad, so this is the next generation of filmmakers coming up who decided not only to pay tribute to the sport and the movie, but also bring me back in as a kind of a tie-in.
The tie-in. Who's directing this?
Eric Bugby, who is a BMXer himself, and his wife Jill and Kevin Bashore and Bob Massey all wrote a wonderful script about BMX.
Did you help? Did you have input into the script?
Not the script. I was brought in for the shooting, and it's been a long journey, but I'm very proud of the movie.
And how did they cast your son? And did you have anything to do with it?
No, I came on later. He was cast because he's an actual BMX pro. He's a really top drawer athlete, and that's what people are going to find exciting, is that he's out there doing his own riding, his own stunts.
And he can act too?
He's a great actor. Yeah, I'm really.
Was he in acting school?
He was an actor before this
Oh.
and a BMXer, so it was, just a perfect coming together of his talents.
And where did you shoot this?
It was in Allentown, Pennsylvania, of all places. Yeah, I see.
So different from
So
where you were
different,
before.
So different, and the whole town really came together for the production. There was an actual world-class race that they put on for the production, for the climax. So they shot a movie and a world-class competition at the same time and pulled it off.
So they had the audience
They had
really
the audience
raving and really excited.
and they had the athletes really out there competing, and it was a feat that few people could have pulled off.
And your son, your character, actually
did his own stunts.
Was in the competition too?
Yeah, so it was remarkable.
So let's talk about being a pilot.
Okay. Well,
That's kind of a Texas thing, isn't it?
Well, it's kind
Just
of
land out.
it's kind of what I was brought up on, and flying in small planes and then jumping out of them in my teen years. And then I found out about this new sport called powered parachuting. So it's basically a 3-wheeled cart about the size of a go-kart, 2-person capacity with a propeller behind it, and you just lay out a parachute, fire up the propeller, and the parachute comes out above you, and you take off at 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, and you can fly for hours and go up to like 13,000 feet.
How do you...
The parachute is actually an elliptical wing, a semi-elliptical wing.
Oh, so it lifts you?
It takes you right up. It acts just like a airplane wing, and if the engine goes out, you're under an inflated parachute, so you just ride it to the ground.
Oh, you just come down.
Yeah, you just come down. So it's really safe and wildly thrilling.
Well, where do you do that?
I do it out at Camarillo Airport. You can do it in controlled airspace, and also I've got a friend who's got a lake house that we just fly out. You take about 300 feet of runway, and you're airborne.
Oh, you need the run. You need a little runway.
You need about 200-300 feet, about size of a football field, and you'll be airborne.
Where do you find those?
They're clubs. They're clubs. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I wondered.
They're individual manufacturers. There's dozens of manufacturers out there, and you'll see more of the kind that you strap on your back.
Oh, I've seen. Yes.
And they call those powered paragliders, but this is the powered parachute where you're actually in a cart, so you don't have to land on your feet. You have landing.
Oh, you have. You do.
Yeah. So it seems safer to me.
Did you work out all the time?
Physically?
Yes.
Yeah. I've kind of been a gym rat, and now we're rolling into a next BMX extravaganza where I'm actually on a bicycle. So since we're now a year out, I actually have the time to learn how to do some of the stunts myself.
So you've finished Heroes of Dirt?
Yeah, it'll be out soon, a week or so.
It'll be out soon. Now you're going to do another one?
Yeah, another BMX themed movie.
Oh, and what will that be? What will you be playing?
Well, I'll be the hero in this one. Yeah.
You will be the hero? You mean the father hero?
Yeah, there will be a relationship in there, but it will be an opportunity for me to get back on a bike 30 years later and kind of give the rad fans a little furtherance of what might have happened.
How do you get ready for that?
Well, I'm training with one of the very best freestylers in the world. He was one of my stuntmen on Rad. His name is Martin Aparejo, and he was a top-seeded freestyler for a decade or more. So I go out with him every week.
You get on a bike?
Yeah.
And go, and what does he do? Does he make you
start,
turn?
We're talking frame stands and riding it backwards and jumping up on it. So I'm literally falling on the pavement several times during a session, and you just have to get over the fact that you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. How bad?
You're doing like ramps?
I haven't done ramps.
Will you do ramps?
I will. I'll get into that, and I'll probably regret it.
Well, we're glad we don't have to go through the training, and I'm glad you're going through the training.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you came today.
Thanks. I had a great time.
Really?
Thank you so much, Joan. It's great.
Thank you for being here. And don't go away. Kathryn Rohrbacher did this beautiful rose on the set, and she's going to talk to us next. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here in West Hollywood, and I'm with Fort Wayne born and raised artist Katherine Rohrbacher. She graduated with a BFA from the Art Institute of Chicago, and she earned her MFA at Hofburger School of Painting at Maryland College of Art. She's received a painting fellowship at the Vermont Studio Center, and she's had shows in Los Angeles at the TAG Gallery and at the 825 Gallery. So The Thing Mirror Mirror is the first show at the new Laura Corman Gallery in Bergamot Station, right?
Yes.
Have you ever, you showed in Bergamot at the TAG Gallery, right?
Yeah, Tag Gallery.
Tag, they call it Tag, but it's really what? The Artist
Gallery.
And what tell us a little bit about that Bergamot Station over there.
I always knew I wanted to show in Bergamot because it just gets such a great audience. There's always people going through. A lot of people know it in town and throughout the country.
It's a big art
a ton of galleries.
A big compound, I should say, right?
Right.
And now the train is going and stopping there, which will be great.
It's going to be a station again.
I know. So all this painting experience that you had in Maryland and in Chicago, I mean, the best place, Chicago Art Institute, couldn't be better.
Yeah.
Did you always think you were going to be a painter?
Yeah.
When did you start?
I mean, I was always making art from a very young age. I even went to elementary school that was like a magnet school for the arts.
Oh, it was.
So we were exposed to a lot of things like very young. And I remember like in middle school was when I first started making my first serious paintings and like my parents bought me an easel and, canvas board. And I had a studio set up in my parents' basement.
Oh, you did? That was in Indiana?
Yep.
That was great.
Yeah.
And so once you got to the School of Art, did you have to apply, and did they have to see what you could do before you could get in?
Yeah, I went to like a portfolio day, and they pretty much like accepted me right there and recommended me for a merit scholarship.
Oh, they did? Mm-hmm. Oh, so good for you. And then what did you learn there?
I was pretty much just focused on like figurative painting. I took a ton of figurative painting classes. My like sophomore year, I kind of ventured off into the fiber department and like did some screen printing and sewing.
Do they teach you what kind of materials to use on different things? Was it pretty conservative in that respect?
Our first year we took like first year classes. So we had like a 2D class, a 3D class, and we even took like a 4D class where we did like video and sound. So in those classes we learned more of like the techniques and stuff. But pretty much from there we were like guided, but it wasn't exactly like classes.
Were you pretty free to paint? Were your teachers well-known painters?
Yeah.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
So who did you work with?
John Phillips, Roxy Tremonto, so many. It's been so long.
Oh, it hasn't been so long. But I think one of the things you were talking about, making things, and when you were in school, you were making these gloves?
Yeah. I started those in college.
These are so great. Tell us about them.
I started actually making them as dish gloves. And
what's a dish glove?
Like rubber dish gloves that you do dishes with.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, but then I got requests from my customers to make garden ones.
My customers?
Yep. And then I eventually opened an Etsy shop.
You did? So you're the garden glove gladiator, they call you, right? You've been doing it for how long?
Yeah, well, they've more recently they've gotten in Better Homes and Gardens Do-It-Yourself magazine and another magazine. So.
Tell us what you do. Explain this to me.
I buy all of the gloves, and
the glove is bought.
Yes, and then.
Or how long is the glove?
It just stops. I mean,
it just
there's
stops
only just
here.
a
You
little
put
bit.
This edge
So
on
then I go shopping and hunting for like the ribbons and the trims. So this is actually a vintage bird trim from like Germany, and I like do most of my shopping in like the downtown like fabric district.
Were you supporting yourself with this?
I mean, I was making money. Yeah.
Were you buying?
I was
You
doing
could buy
a lot of
art. You
like,
could buy canvas and stuff.
Yeah.
Your first shows were different subjects than what you're doing now. You paint yourself, right?
Mhm.
Were you painting yourself then?
Yeah,
When you
I've
first
always
started?
done self-portraits even since like high school.
So you've never done different subjects.
I've painted other people. Like I've done other portraits. I've done paintings of my family and ex-boyfriends.
What kind of subjects? Mostly people?
Yeah, mostly people. Well, I'm adopted, so I did this whole series on like pregnancy and women that haven't been pregnant, like making them pregnant, and yeah, just exploring my family.
That was great. And was it all painted on canvas?
Yeah, I do.
Tell me what this is.
More recently, I like in grad school I started using wood panel, but
Is this a wood panel?
mhm.
So tell us what the difference is.
Well, I started using wood panel to actually use the wood grain itself to leave it exposed. There's, for example, in that painting.
This one?
Yeah, that's.
Is this on a wood panel?
Yeah, so the you can't see it as well in the printout, but you can see the wood grain. So the natural wood grain's actually showing.
And so you don't paint the back. Is it
Yeah, I just put like a clear gesso.
a clear? I see. So tell us a little bit about this.
This is my painting called Migration, and it's about each bird is the state bird from each state I've lived in.
Oh, really? Tell us.
And the like female caribou like every year loses their antlers and has to regrow them. So it was about me moving a lot and having to like keep reestablishing myself.
And what birds are these? From what country?
It's the Baltimore Oriole is the
Maryland,
yellow orange
okay.
one. The California quail.
Oh, good. You've
And
lived
then
here.
Both Indiana and Illinois have a cardinal.
So we have a cardinal too. When did you decide that self-portraiture was something you wanted to do? Is it tradition? It comes from a painting tradition, doesn't it?
Yeah. I guess I was always doing painting about issues of my life and what was going on, and I end up not seeing them like as myself. I like call them like her or something, but I just kind of like use my face as the like source.
Like this is her. You're not a
Yeah.
nun. We
well,
know
this
you're
is
not a nun.
actually this is called La Petite Fleur, the little flower, and that she's a saint, like the French Saint Teresa, who's actually my ancestor. So in this one, I was like painting myself as like the modern day like Saint Teresa.
So where do you get the backgrounds? Where did the backgrounds come from?
I search for them. I like find them. I put different ones that I find together. In some of them, I like create my own patterns. So it's all a different.
And I think the one great thing, talking about the subject matter and about yourself, from Catholicism or from the saint to the birds to this with the books. What does the book say?
That painting is kind of my background of painting, of doing figurative nude paintings, and I'm like holding this heavy stack of all the books that I've, people that I look to, you know, for inspiration in you know, my figure painting days, so.
And what is this painted on?
That is oil on canvas.
Oh, so that's totally different from this piece.
Mhm.
This is
That's
oil,
on
right?
board, yeah.
Oil on board. And what will you be showing at Laura Corman's gallery? What's in the mirror mirror? What does that mean?
The Mirror Mirror show is a lot about like the duality of self and what people see and what is kind of like hidden within ourselves, just like how everybody kind of has two sides of like what shows and what doesn't show.
And what will those subject matters be? What will those paintings be?
They're actually, most of them are like 5 foot by 5 foot, so they're large
they're
paintings.
huge.
So that's why I said this is kind of small. Like you told me to bring a small painting.
How big is this?
30 by 30.
It's big.
Yeah.
And the other ones are 5 feet. How
Yeah.
do you paint something like that? Is it on the ground?
Yeah,
Is
I
it on
have
the
an
wall?
easel. Yeah, so
It's
I put
on
it
an
on
easel?
an easel to paint. Yeah.
And are they all on canvas?
Yeah.
They're on. But then, how
All the
do
big
you?
ones.
Does it come way down low so you can paint on it? Or
Yeah,
does
yeah, I
it,
adjust it. Sometimes when I need to get up high, I actually have to put it on the floor, and I'm also like stepping on a stool too.
And what? And do you mix your colors? How do you get the colors that you're?
Yeah, I
using?
just have a big palette and mix up the colors. If I'm making patterns, I can mix up a big batch of the different colors I'm using, and if I'm painting like flesh tones, I just do it as I go.
This is great because it's a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about the wolf.
So, I have the autoimmune disease lupus, and lupus is Latin for wolf. So I use the wolf image to kind of as my symbol for that.
You paint a lot of wolves.
A couple. I've done a few.
This is it's like a mask on you, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So it really is your persona, but it's hidden.
Right.
The hidden things that we've talked about.
Right. Exactly.
And then what about this background?
In these paintings, I was kind of trying to get across like this vibrancy and liveliness of like who I really am, and I feel like people see me as. And then there's this dullness and black and white and kind of like isolation that having a disease like lupus kind of gives you.
Does the disease keep you from doing certain things?
Definitely.
It does?
Yeah.
In what regard?
You have limits of what you can do, so
Strength-wise?
strength,
Energy-wise?
energy, yeah.
Does it stop you from painting?
It does. I mean, I have to, work through it, take naps.
Do you? Do you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The other thing you do, I know, and we're finished with our time, but you have blogs. You've been writing some blog things about your adoption and about your disease and different parts. And I think if you just go to your website, they're pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Do you continue that?
I mean, I'm always right and very open about all of my experiences, so.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you came to be with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
And thank you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles, and keep writing to us at jaquinn1@aol.com. And we'll continue answering your questions, and we hope that you'll watch us the next time. Bye.